Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mentoring Maya. I'm your host, Mohammed Bilal. This is the series where we take the really complex, kind of intimidating world of clinical data management and break it all down piece by piece so folks like my student, Maya, and you can really get a handle on it.
All right, so today we're taking a really crucial step forward, and I want you to think of it like this. If our last explainer was all about drawing up the architectural blueprints, well today we're pouring the concrete, laying the foundation, and putting up the frame of the house.
Yep, last time we dove deep into designing those blueprints, the case report forms, or CRFs. But today, we're taking that next big leap. We're actually building the structure itself. We're translating those designs into the real, functional, digital backbone of our entire clinical trial. This is where the study database truly comes to life.
Okay, so where do we even start? Well, the very first and maybe most important decision is picking the right tool for the job. And that brings us to what we call the Electronic Data Capture System, or EDC for short. So what is an EDC system anyway? Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is as the superpowered, modern, digital version of the old-school clipboard and paper form. It's a specialized software that's built from the ground up to do one thing really well: collect, manage, and lock down all that incredibly valuable data that a clinical trial produces. And believe me, the difference between paper and an EDC is, well, it's night and day. With paper, you're just constantly fighting this uphill battle, right? You've got transcription errors, you're waiting forever for data to come in, and everything is a slow, manual grind. EDC systems, they just completely flip the script. We're talking built-in checks that catch mistakes as they happen in real time. Teams get the data almost instantly, and so many of those boring review tasks get automated. It's a total game changer for speed and for quality.
Okay, but there are a bunch of different EDC systems out there. So what do you think is the #1 thing you absolutely have to consider when you're choosing one for your trial? I'll give you a second to think about it, because this is a really important question.
You got it? The answer, in one word, is compliance. Seriously, above everything else, cost, features, cool interfaces, the system must follow incredibly strict regulatory rules. This isn't just some nice-to-have feature on a checklist, it's the absolute bedrock that all of your data integrity is built on. And the big one, the regulation you'll hear about all the time, is 21 CFR Part 11. You can think of this as the FDA's official rulebook for all things electronic records and electronic signatures. It's what guarantees the data is real, that there's a secure, unchangeable audit trail tracking every single thing that happens to the data, and that only the right people can access it. And let me be clear, this isn't just annoying red tape. If your system isn't compliant, regulators can and will reject all of your study's data. To put it bluntly, no compliance, no trial. It's that simple.
All right, so we've picked our compliance system. We're good to go, right? Well, the next phase isn't just about building any old database. Nope. The goal here is to build a smart database. And we do that by programming the rules of the study right into its very core.
And the way we make it smart is by using something called edit checks. I love this analogy. Think of them as the smart wiring inside the walls of our database house. They're these little pre-programmed rules that are always on the lookout, ready to automatically flag any data that just looks off. Something wrong, inconsistent, or flat out impossible. And the best part? It catches it the second it's entered.
Now, you don't just whip up these edit checks on the fly. It's a very deliberate, 4-step process. First up, you specify the rules, and these come directly from the study protocol. That's your source of truth. Step 2, a programmer takes those rules and codes them into the EDC system. Third, and this part is absolutely critical, you have to test them, really test them, to make sure they work exactly as planned. And finally, step 4, you document every single check you've created. It all has to be on record.
Let me give you a few quick examples so you can see what I mean. You've got a range check. This one's simple. Say someone types in a heart rate of 300 beats per minute. The system's going to go, whoa, hold on, because that's not really possible. Then there's a logical check. This one flags stuff that makes no sense, like if a subject is listed as male but also marked as pregnant. Obvious error, right? The system catches it. And then something like a protocol violation check, which would send up a red flag if, say, a follow-up visit is scheduled way outside the time window that the study allows.
Okay, so let's recap. We've chosen our tool, we've programmed in all these smart rules. We're pretty much done, right? Not quite. There's one last crucial step before a single piece of real patient data gets anywhere near this system. It's time for the final inspection. We call it user acceptance testing, or UAT.
And this is the point where my student, Maya, would jump in with the perfect question. She'd say, "Okay, Mohammed, but after all this design and all this programming, how do you really know it all works? Like for real?" And that is the exact question we need to answer next.
And the answer to her great question is UAT. This is the official validation process, where the actual end users, the people who are going to be in this system day in and day out, get to take it for a test drive. I love the house analogy, so let's go back to it. UAT is the final walkthrough before you move in. You're not just looking at it. You're opening every single door. You're flipping every light switch. You're turning on every faucet to make absolutely sure it all works before you put your valuable stuff inside.
So what does a good UAT look like? It really boils down to 3 key things. First, you create test scenarios. You basically cook up a bunch of fake data, and you intentionally include data that's designed to break the rules and trigger all those edit checks. You want to see them fire. Second, you bring in the whole team. You need the end users to test the workflow from their own point of view. And third, you document everything. Every single test, every weird little issue you find, and how you fixed it. It all goes in the log.
And I gotta stress this, UAT is 100% a team sport. It's not a one-person job. You've got the database developer who's testing all the technical stuff, the code itself. Then you have the clinical research associate, or CRA, who's testing it from the perspective of a user at the hospital or clinic. And of course, the data manager is testing the whole data pipeline and all the review processes. Every single person brings a different, vital perspective to the table to make sure this thing is rock solid from every possible angle.
Okay, let's just take a step back for a second. Let's zoom out. After all of this incredibly detailed work, the planning, the programming, the testing, what's the big payoff? Why do we do all this? It all boils down to a single, powerful word: trust.
And this quote here from the Society for Clinical Data Management, man, it just says it all perfectly. The approval of new drugs, things that could save lives, hinges on one thing: whether agencies like the FDA can trust that the data is solid. That everything we just talked about, picking the right system, programming those smart edit checks, doing that exhaustive UAT, every single step is there for one reason: to build that trust and to prove that our data deserves it. So here we are. The digital backbone of our study is built. It's been tested, it's been inspected, and it's ready to go. But what happens on day one? What happens when the theory is over and the very first piece of real data from a real patient gets entered into that system? Well, that's exactly where our journey is going to pick up next time. Thanks for joining me for this edition of Mentoring Maya.